close the argument door and I can open the sleep door, I can fall asleep after fighting with you. That's true, because you've had that in your family. That there is a person who, when the argument is still going on, well, they just close the argument door and open the sleep door and they go to bed. Because their brain is really wired like that, right? Some of you in this room, when I say the thing, then all of a sudden they stop listening. These are the two, by the way. It's going to be one of these two that shuts down the ears. Some of you are scared of failing. So as soon as the conversation talks about something you did wrong, something you messed up on, some feedback, and you think you're being criticized or disrespected, and you think you're failing, you will get so bothered and thinking about that. No, I didn't. Let me tell you what was going on. Let me explain myself. Just give me a minute. Whoa. And you'll start thinking that in the middle of the talk. Others of you, as soon as the talk starts to feel like, I think they're going to reject me. They're going to fire me. They're going to break up with me. They're kicking me out of this family. I don't get my home visit. As soon as it starts to feel like abandonment, the ears close, right? And you're just listening for rejection. So tell me, what are you going to break up with me? You're going to fire me? You're going to break up with me? You're going to fire me? So it's canceled, right? It's canceled. Home visit canceled. Home visit's canceled, right? And that's all that's going there is that fear of abandonment, right? This person, their brain works more like not a hallway with doors, but everything's in there together. And I can think about what you said and what they said and what I have to do when I get home and what happened yesterday. And it's all mixed like a great room in the house where every room really touches. The kitchen and the living room, the dining room is like one big room, but the carpet sort of changes. Like that's how their brain works. The electric stove gets hot slow. So conflict for this person starts slow and heats up. Then, when it's over, the burner stays hot. So even after an apology, they're still kind of mad. Even after they said it was okay, they're still kind of hurt. Gas stove, you turn the burner off, it's over. It's not even hot anymore. But it gets hot real quick. So if there's a conflict, they're already ready to fight. Because in a gas stove, you turn it on, it's ready for cooking right away. And the fire is on. And so some people have a gas stove response to conflict. Some people have an electric stove response. You should know where your brain is wired, and you should know where the brain is wired of the person you're talking to. If they are listening for abandonment, and they are a gas stove kind of person, it's going to light the fire and close the ears, right? So we'll do this too. This is the same kind of thing, but differently. And then I want to get to the negotiation skills. We're going to make it he and she, but you can make it whoever. One person in a conflict, when they feel like the other person is mean, harsh, cruel, they took their kindness away from me. I can't breathe, you're stepping on my air hose. I need to feel like I live inside love with you, and I can't breathe. When I can't breathe, I get mean. Because you're stepping on my air hose, and I can't breathe. This person, well, when you're mean to me, I can't breathe. And I feel like you're disrespecting me. So if I can't breathe, I take my niceness away. And then you have this conflict of, I need to feel loved, well, I need to feel respected. If you don't respect me, I'm not going to be nice to you. Well, if you're not nice to me, then I'm not going to respect you. And it goes like this. So it's called the crazy cycle. And you get in a conflict where each person is only thinking that they are defending themselves. I'm just trying to tell you what kind of a person I am. I'm just trying to clarify. I need to feel like you believe in me. Well, I need to feel like you really like me. Well, I do, but it's hard to when you're, well, I do, but it's hard to when you're, and you get in this thing. It's dangerous to sort of call it a circle and to give people like sides, because then people get distracted by the, well, you're doing this, and I'll be nice as soon as you'll be nice. Well, I'll be nice as soon as you'll be nice. Well, you go first. Well, you go first, right? They get caught in that. What I want you to see in this is that most conflicts come from the way that you defend yourself hurts people. But you're only defending yourself. But the way that you defend yourself hurts the other person, right? You're just trying to get them to do something. But when you do that, the way that you do that bothers them. And then the way that they protect themselves bothers you. Both people are good people. They're just having their air hose stepped on. And they can't breathe the feelings that they want to breathe in the relationship. And when you're hurt and your arms flail, like other people get hurt. Does that make sense? That's sort of a, I'm not like convicting people or trying to confront anybody, but what I'm saying is, when I think about the arguments that I've gotten into, it's really just that somebody else was saying something and I took it a certain way and it bothered me, and then I overprotected myself, and then the way that I overprotected myself bothered them, and then when they were bothered, they clarified back to me, and the way they clarified back to me felt really harsh. So then I clarified back to them, and then that feels really harsh. And then we're both just doing this thing where we're poking each other in the eye. Right? Comments or questions? Otherwise, I want to make, go ahead.
I guess in that type of situation, because we've all experienced those type of situations, so like, if you realize like, okay, they might have said something and I might have understood it, and that's why I'm like getting a little defensive. So instead of getting defensive and doing the same thing, would you like confront it and just be like, hey, I'm a little hurt by the way that you said that. Can you kind of clarify to me because I might have misunderstood? Is that like the best way to handle that?
Yes. Let me give you the so I'll give you the therapy way to say it. It's really the fancy version of, what did I ever do to you? But it'll sound better. It'll sound like therapized, but it's really, what did I ever do to you? So here's how you do it. I'll use these words. We can use other words, but I'll use these. Hey, that felt unloving. Did I disrespect you? Yeah, that felt disrespectful. Was I unloving? And then you're sort of doing the, what you did bothered me. But you wouldn't have done that if something didn't happen to you. So I think that you're a good person. I must have done something that I didn't mean to do. So you're sort of doing both. Hey, stop that. Did I do something to you? Right? Mm-hmm. So if you can do both, the person will not, it doesn't end up in an argument because you're humbling yourself. Stop talking to me like that. Did I do something to you that made you kind of edgy? Mm-hmm. Right? And then if you can do that, that's sort of the, like we're doing exits, and we're like, that's the exit, is to admit something, and then you can get out of it. Yeah, great question. Here's your negotiating, I don't know how many people are familiar with negotiating stuff. The same way that we had the fast-paced, slow-paced, task and people thing, we've got sort of a new grid. It does not mean middle is best. It does not mean middle is best. Like everybody thinks the answer is always compromise. Well, how do you solve a conflict? Compromise. How do you compromise? Like everybody thinks you're supposed to say compromise. That is not true. If I like one couch and you like the other, we're not going to compromise and cut them in half and sew them together. right? Half a couch and half a couch is not a couch. You can't compromise on some things. Someone's going to have to give in and someone's going to have to win sometimes on some issues. Either we go out for pizza or we go out for tacos. We can't do both. You can, but then you've got really bad boundaries with your kids and you're driving all around all the different restaurants and stuff. Compromise is okay on some things, but really you're always like half a winner and half a loser. And nobody wants to be like a half loser. But it's okay. So here's the thing. So on assertiveness, right, it's how right do I think I am? How important is the right answer to me? So how assertive am I going to be is this a really big deal for me? I might be high assertive on that because I really think I'm right and I really think this is important. I do think we have to mail our bills in on time. For me, that's a high assertive issue, right? Cooperativeness is how important is the relationship to me, right? It's really important for me to get along with you really well. I don't care what we pick, I want to stay united with you, right? So then you'll get, if it's low cooperation, low assertive, I don't care about the issue and I don't care about you. Well, you're going to get avoiding. Low assertiveness, low cooperation, oh, just leave well enough alone. Who cares? I don't care if we're friends and I don't care about the issue. So I'm just going to avoid it. If I'm low, like the relationship is not that important to me, but being right is really important to me, we're going to compete. Because I want to win. And if you have hurt feelings, I don't care about your hurt feelings because I want to win. And I'm going to compete with you. I care, but not as much as about winning. If I don't really care and I have low assertive, but I really care about the relationship, I'm going to accommodate you and give in to you, right? I'm going to kill you with kindness because I want us to stay united. The issue doesn't matter to me. Or they both matter, right? I really think I'm right and I really got to stay united to you. We're going to collaborate. Two heads are better than one. And if I'm sort of kind of middle on everything, then I'm going to compromise. You are going to find yourself in each of these five. The real skill for handling conflict is to know which one to use, because all of them are okay in certain situations, right? If we don't know each other well, and you run into me at the park, and your kids are misbehaving at the park when we're hanging out. We're not really close friends. We're not in a small group together. We're not in a, and they're not my kids.
I'm very sorry.
Well, that's fine.
Answer it.
Yeah.
Plug it.
Hello?
Now it won't make noise, so
Oh, all right.
we're good.
Great.
Sorry about that.
Nope. So accommodating. It's okay with me, whatever you want, right? You can preserve a relationship, and you can admit there's a better way. You have to be careful not to sort of like keep score in your head. That's the 15th time that I've given in to her, right? Oh man, they don't know what I put up with around here. Like if you're doing that, you're not really doing this well. Like sort of the keeping score bitterness thing will come back to haunt you later. Competitive, my way or the highway. It's good for addressing personal needs and being assertive. It's dangerous because you can lose a relationship and shut others down. But there are times when you have to be competitive. If we're in line and there's a famine and there's one bucket of food left and it's your kids or my kids, we're probably going to compete. Right? That's okay. I would expect you to compete with me. Avoidance. I will think about it tomorrow. The good thing is that you're not sweating the small stuff. And sometimes pausing is really helpful. There's a lot of times, so my wife does this better than I do. And she will say, because there's so many other good things that happen in our family, the tiny like annoyances, her phrase is, I just kind of step over that stuff, right? So she works late on Tuesdays. So my wife's a therapist too, so she sees clients late on Tuesday nights. So then it's dad's night. And if I have all the kids in bed when she gets home, and everything's picked up and cleaned and like I've done what a parent should do, but the sink still has dishes in it, but everything else is done, like, you can probably step over that, right? Because it would be dangerous to kind of let it build up. You never ever help with things in the kitchen. But I do. And that was like one thing, and 15 other things went well, so she steps over that. And I think that's really gracious of her. Collaborating, higher commitment, higher creativity, everybody's involved. The hard thing is that it's really hard when everybody's involved. You ever been on a committee? Everybody's got an idea. Nobody wants to offend anybody else. It's really true. You'll have the best ideas because you got all those heads in there, but it's really hard to finally like vote and pick something. But it's good to collaborate. And then compromising is making deals. It's quick and it's good. The hard thing is that nobody really feels totally awesome at the end. It's like half winning and half losing. Like compromising is okay, and it's a worthwhile solution, especially because you can find some middle ground. But if you have the time, I would prefer collaborating over compromising. But sometimes time means you've got to compromise. So here's sort of that graph, right? Accommodating, avoiding, competing, collaborating, compromising is a way to sort of understand it with stick figures. Going fast, because I want to get to the last stuff and not run out of time for the last stuff. Okay. This is my favorite stuff, though. In conflict, really, the way out is being able to apologize. And the other way out is to give forgiveness. I'm meeting with a woman who she was a caregiver for a relative, but then there were also family arguments late in that relative's life. So when the person passed away, all those arguments were still percolating, but now she's gone. So part of her grieving is complicated now because she's got these grudges against the annoying people in the family who were selfish and conniving and blah, 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 blah. Because she can't forgive them, and because the conflict keeps going, now there's sort of this stalemate, right? Because it's hard to cry for the person who's buried because you're also mad at the person standing next to you at the funeral. Right? And so the conflict persists. Now, I'm not saying it's an easy thing for her to do. That's why she's meeting with somebody, is to work on a way to be forgiving. But the way out is to grant forgiveness and to find a way to apologize. Otherwise, it just stays, right? And it rots the relationship. So Gary Chapman just renamed his book. It used to be called The 5 Languages of Apology. Now it's called When Sorry Isn't Enough, Making Things Right with Those You Love. So if anybody here wants to write a book, just to let you know, you can write the same book twice and get paid for it again. About every 5 or 10 years, you can update a certain number of texts, change a picture, move something around on a page, brand new book, you get paid again. Pretty sweet deal. And it just proves that I'm old and the books that I've read are old. I like Gary's point, so I want to teach this, and then I want to have you talk about it with each other. Here's the idea. One of these 5 is your favorite. You have to have all 5, but one of them is your favorite. Some people say, I need you to say that you are sorry to me.